You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
It could be a game changer for treating traumatic brain injuries.
We know that it's not just what the injury brings to the patient, but what the patient brings to the injury.
How this Bay Area doctor helped discover a better way to diagnose and treat trauma. Plus, budget cuts could put a Bay Area college program on the chopping block. How lessons on traffic could hit the brakes.
We're only 7 square miles, but we have a lot of transit. I saw this as a different skill set that I wanted to learn.
And from mass protests last year to a movement that activists fear is disappearing.
When we took on that fight, that people were moved by it and that things had shifted.
How some local Palestinians are watching with fear as the war in Gaza grows even more dire. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Makovic. Those stories and more right after our news headlines today. BART has restored service after yesterday's fire near the San Leandro station. Major relief for commuters. That fire caused major traffic backups throughout the day. The fire broke out just after 5 yesterday morning, forcing BART to halt service and close several stations. The cause of that fire still under investigation. Now, Green Line service is still not running, but riders can still get anywhere they need, just with a transfer in some cases. To make up for that, BART is running longer trains on the Orange Line. The CHP says a 2-year-old girl abducted from Oakland has been found safe. Might have gotten that Amber Alert on your phone last night. It went out after the girl's paternal grandmother said that her parents assaulted her and took the girl away from her. East Bay Times reporting the girl's parents and maternal grandmother have been arrested. An off-duty police officer accused in a DUI crash in San Francisco set to face a judge today. Police say 28-year-old Ryan Kwong sped through a neighborhood in the Sunset Saturday night, then slammed into another car and a pole. 4 people were hurt. Kwong had just graduated from the police academy 2 days before the crash. We have confirmed he is no longer employed by the SFPD. And tonight, the Oakland Unified School Board set to vote on reversing a decision that cut funding to after-school programs. Back in March, the board voted on spending caps that ended up slashing after-school funding by up to 80%. The board faced widespread backlash from the community, so today the board is going to reconsider. That meeting happens at 6 tonight. And today is Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee's first full day on the job. She was sworn in yesterday afternoon as the city's 52nd mayor on her grandfather's Bible. Mayor Lee says she is ready to lead Oakland into a new future.
But what I know about Oakland is that we are a community that punches above our weight.
The 78-year-old former congresswoman steps in just 6 months after a recall ousted former Mayor Sheng Tao. Mayor Lee has pledged to tackle pressing issues like public safety and homelessness. Now let's get a check on our first alert forecast. We are almost halfway through the week. Here's meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, it's the warmest day of this week. We're topping off today in the 90s all the way over into Antioch. 60s still along the coast, so a nice temperature difference there when it comes to all of our microclimates. But let's head up to the North Bay real fast. I mean, we're talking about upper 80s in Santa Rosa this afternoon with sunshine everywhere throughout wine country, everywhere throughout the East Bay, and even for our friends along our coastal areas too. San Francisco today topping off at 68 degrees. We're right back up into the 80s into San Jose compared to yesterday's 70s, and it's going to be a nice one this afternoon. I will say, though, we start to cool down starting tomorrow. But before we get to tomorrow, let's take a quick look at our wind speeds, because this morning it was relatively light, but it does get gustier into the afternoon hours. Around lunchtime, we're already up to around 20-mile-per-hour winds in areas like Bodega Bay and San Francisco. It'll get breezier, pushing in from offshore into the evening hours tonight, with dry skies widespread throughout the Bay Area today, tomorrow, all the way into our weekend forecast, all the way into next week. Actually, the Climate Prediction Center is showing drier than normal conditions for the Bay Area and throughout most of California as we head into the next 8 to 14 days. Reason being, we've been dealing with this area of high pressure parked just offshore. It's been delivering the sunshine, this warm weather, and despite the fact that we're going to actually start cooling down, we still hold on tight to those dry conditions into next week's forecast. We will start to see some clouds rolling in for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, especially along the bay, but no drops of rain in sight. It's going to be a very beautiful way to head into early next week. Now, the other thing, too, we head over into our inland areas. We're in the 80s today, 70s tomorrow, but then we're kind of flirting back and forth with 80s and 70s into this weekend. It'll be a similar trend into next week, too. The only difference, more clouds and a little bit more of that onshore breeze heading into Monday and Tuesday. Back to you.
Well, the Golden State Valkyries hoping to score their first regular season win tonight. They're going to be playing against the Washington Mystics at Chase Center. That game airs exclusively on Pix Plus. The team is counting on that home crowd again tonight after a huge turnout at their season opener. Veronica Macias is at Chase Center with what fans can expect.
The Valkyries, they're ready for game 2 here at Chase Center. Guard Julie Van Loo says that passionate crowd was incredible during the home opener of their inaugural season. And it's almost like having a sixth man on the floor, and they are prepared to bring it tonight. The energy inside Chase Center, electric. And they hope they see it again tonight. Let's look at what things look like when they took on the LA Sparks tonight. They definitely have some challenges taking on the Washington Mystics, though. Many fans, they don't care. They know that there are some challenges when it comes to the newest edition of the WNBA in the Bay Area. This team really helping bring the city together. So many parents bringing their children to the game. So many people that we've met saying they're season ticket holders. And despite not having a win yet, they're not discouraged. As for the players, again, the support making all the difference in the world for them.
They got to continue to come out and support us, because we'll get it together.
Our purpose is we get to have the opportunity to play in front of 18,000 screaming fans that love you. That is not, by accident. So they understood that we get to do that. Only 12 players in the whole wide world get to feel that crowd.
The Washington Mystics, though, they are undefeated. The Valkyries saying they're prepared and they're going to show their grit on the floor tonight.
And today we spoke with Morgan Reagan, color analyst for the Valkyries, about the excitement she's seeing amongst the players at Chase Center.
It's so important to make sure they always take a step back, look up, take a breath, soak it all in, because it's super special what's going on right now. I mean, obviously having professional women's basketball back in Northern California is so important, but the fact that people are behind it, they're there, they are showing up. I've never seen an energy like this.
Our exclusive coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. on Pix Plus. That is channel 44. If you have cable, it's channel 12. And CBS News Bay Area is your home for the Valkyries. More than 30 games airing on KPIX and Pix Plus throughout the season. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, we are going to meet a Bay Area doctor taking part in groundbreaking research on traumatic brain injuries.
A number of people that have these so-called mild TBIs, actually, they're not mild at all.
How his work could help people all over the world improve their quality of life. Plus, we're going to meet the traffic reporters of the future, hard at work learning the skills needed to keep the public informed, why their program is now on the chopping block.
We are the only Northern California college radio station that is offering consistent transit traffic reports.
And bringing the party to the South Bay, we're going to hear from some business owners about a new plan to turn downtown streets into entertainment zones.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
It's one of the warmest days of this week, sitting in the 70s in the Bay and areas like Oakland, with upper 60s into San Francisco and sunny skies widespread throughout the Bay Area. We'll start to cool down into our Thursday and Friday forecast and hold on tight to 60s as we head into this weekend. By next week, we get a return to the clouds, but it's still dry skies, not a drop of rain in sight. Now you make your way over into our inland spots, the exact same setup, just a little bit warmer. We're in the 80s today, 70s tomorrow, back into the 80s and 70s into next week.
Every year, nearly 5 million people in the U.S. seek medical care for a traumatic brain injury. It can happen in so many ways. Now, based on a mountain of data and years of research, a team of international experts has identified a more precise way to diagnose and treat brain trauma. Sean Sanford of San Francisco writes fiction and music reviews. He's a substitute teacher and right now is getting his master's in creative writing. He also really loves skateboarding.
Hello, I'm there.
8 years ago, Sean was about to show his friends a new trick.
And then my next memory is laying down, looking at my friends. My wife Candace was standing there, and they were asking me if I recognized any of my friends.
Sean had slipped and hit his head on a concrete ledge.
I kept repeating myself and being like, what are we doing? Where are we? Where are we? Like, what's going on?
At San Francisco General, the clinical guidelines used for decades indicated Sean had a bad concussion that could resolve with rest and time. But then the ER staff scanned his brain, and what they saw, he says, saved his life.
Sent me into the surgery room. They called Dr. Manley, who wasn't working that day. They called him in and they said that they were like, we have a patient who cracked his skull, and it's bad, and if he doesn't get treatment, like right now, he's gonna die.
Chief of Neurosurgery at the General and UCSF neurologist Dr. Jeff Manley. He says the current criteria used to assess brain injuries, the clinical symptoms alone, no longer applies.
First of all, it's not very precise.
Manley is part of a coalition of experts and patients from 14 countries who are calling for an overhaul. Trauma centers nationwide will soon begin to test the new approach.
We've been working on this now for over a decade.
The hope? It will lead to more accurate diagnoses, appropriate treatment, and follow-up care.
When somebody's diagnosed as a mild TBI or a concussion, often they're just disregarded. And we know from studies that we've done over the last 10 to 15 years that a number of people that have these so-called mild TBIs, actually, they're not mild at all.
The approach involves clinical exams, biomarker blood tests that measure tissue damage, imaging tests which look for blood clots or bleeding, and modifiers like a patient's age, gender, mental health, even prior head injuries.
We know that it's not just what the injury brings to the patient, but what the patient brings to the injury.
Sean needed follow-up care. After the accident, he developed epilepsy and depression. He now meditates and helps his wife develop relaxation products in their little store.
It's really a place of magic and a place of healing.
And yes, Sean still skateboards, but now always with a helmet. As for the cost, Dr. Manley expects the new criteria will save patients money by giving them better care, keeping them out of hospitals, and getting them back to work and their families sooner. New numbers on drug overdose deaths in San Francisco. The health department says they are trending down, but we still need to make more progress getting people into treatment. Preliminary data shows there were 50 overdose deaths last month. That is the lowest number so far this year. The same time last year, the number of deaths was 59. 2 months ago, the number was 64. San Francisco's public health director says he wants to get more people into treatment beds. The city's health department now launching a health respite program with 76 short-term beds. San Francisco's new traffic camera system has been busy, according to the SFMTA. 31,000 warnings have been sent out to speeding drivers in April alone. That is more than 1,000 warnings per day. Luckily, there's still warnings right now. The agency says data from the new speed safety cameras found that Fulton, between Orgrello and 2nd Avenue, saw the highest number of speeding violations. Morning rush hour on Tuesday is a peak time for speeding, with the most speeding busts documented between 7 and 8 a.m. A unique program at San Francisco State is now facing an uncertain future. Broadcast students are taught how to deliver daily traffic reports. Class just wrapping up its first semester, but because of budget cuts and low enrollment, the program is now stuck in gridlock. Ryan Yamamoto shows us why.
Delay on 28 bus Park Merced is on time. M-train towards Balboa Park 39 is on time.
For Casey Cruz,
delays on the M-train.
Delivering the evening traffic report at San Francisco State's college radio station is essential for fellow students and faculty.
The KSFS radio app. As a commuter student, I drive an hour one way just to get to school. Understanding what's going on in the city before I leave helps me navigate getting to school on time.
This past semester, traffic became part of the school's Intro to Radio and Podcasting class, focusing on hyper-local reports impacting the college.
The M-train to Balboa Park, 101, 280 South, Daly City BART. We're only 7 square miles, but we have a lot of transit.
Checking the Bay Bridge ride, the metering lights are still on, but...
The idea for the curriculum courtesy of longtime Bay Area traffic reporter Elaine Leung.
I've been doing this for about 30 years or so.
Who has doubled as a lecturer at San Francisco State for the past 6.5 years.
We are the only Northern California college radio station that is offering consistent transit traffic reports.
But the future of the college traffic report and other unique classes at San Francisco State remain in jeopardy. Because of budget issues and low enrollment, the California State University system is facing $375 million in cuts, which could translate into a $21 million cut for SFSU, forcing the school to lay off or not retain at least 100 employees, including several lecturers like Leung.
Here we go.
As for Casey Cruz, who will graduate this spring, he's now looking to land a job in radio with traffic reporting as a backup.
I saw this as a different skill set that I wanted to learn. And that is important, and if it can impact the community, okay, but I like skills that I can use.
Useful skills he hopes will pave the road ahead.
Well, it takes a lot of people to respond in a crisis. The calm and steady dispatcher, the police and paramedics who are first on the scene, and the emergency room doctor who has to make split-second decisions. Those heroes were all honored at the Emergency Medical Services Awards in San Francisco yesterday. There were 8 different categories honoring paramedics, physicians, law enforcement, and firefighters. Among the people honored were 6 CHP officers who stayed with a woman in distress on the Bay Bridge.
The officer standing behind me stood with a patient on the edge of the bridge from 9 o'clock in the evening until 5 o'clock in the morning for over 7 hours to calm an individual and be with her and demonstrate patience, communication skills, and most importantly, that they cared.
The city's emergency medical services started back in the 1850s during the gold rush. Still ahead, bringing the party to San Jose. The new plan to transform the streets of downtown. We're going to hear from business owners about the plans to bring entertainment zones across the area.
It's going to increase business 100%.
Why do you think that will happen?
Just because, that's something new that we haven't had before.
It's been a warm setup for us. This is the warmest day of the week. And it's all thanks to high pressure kind of just sitting offshore. It's been doing a couple things for us, giving us these clear skies this whole week's forecast so far. And then to add to that, it's also the big reason why the storm track is staying to the north of us. So no clouds, not a drop of rain in sight, warm weather in store for us, and dry weather too as we extend into the next 8 to 14 days. This is issued by the Climate Prediction Center, and it's showing most of the state of California under these conditions. We're going to hold on tight to dry weather as we head into the rest of this week, into our next week's forecast. And of course, we also want to keep in mind that we're still in that rainfall season. And as we take a quick look at where we're at so far, I mean, just from October 1st to now, we're at around 89% in San Francisco, 71% down into the Santa Clara Valley, 59% of average over into the East Bay. So not the best numbers there, with the exception of the North Bay. We actually are a little bit below average everywhere throughout the Bay Area. And there's no relief in sight, at least for the next 7 days. But what we could do in the meantime, though, is take advantage of this beautiful forecast. I mean, 80s today, quickly jump to the 70s by tomorrow. So back to more moderate weather as we head into the rest of this week's forecast. Sunny skies still into this weekend, too. So if you have outdoor plans, if you were thinking of maybe doing a fun little mini day trip into the city or along the coast, this is the week to do it. I mean, even for our friends along the Bay, yeah, we're sitting a little bit above average today in the 70s. We'll see 60s by tomorrow. The good news is we're right back into the 60s for the rest of this week. The only difference is we have some clouds rolling in heading into early next week's forecast.
It is a new strategy to bring life to downtown San Jose, and they're taking a page out of San Francisco's playbook by trying to bring the party to the streets. The San Jose City Council voted unanimously to approve a series of downtown entertainment zones. That means streets and walkways with looser limits on permits for special events. That means allowing alcohol outside on the city's most popular plazas and streets. The goal is to see more of this. Huge crowds like last week's block party hosted by the San Jose Earthquakes. Thousands of people came out. Our John Ramos explains what these entertainment zones are all about.
The pandemic taught us some lessons about the way people prefer to play, and it is in places like tiny little Post Street that the city of San Jose is trying to put some of those lessons into practice. On one block of Post Street, there are no cars at all. It was closed down during the pandemic, and Froilan Rodriguez, who owns a jewelry store on the block, says traffic never really returned.
Everything was great, it's pretty good, a lot of traffic on the street. Now it seems like after COVID, we went really slow. Everything is kind of quiet. You see the street is like lonely.
Now the city has shut it down permanently, this time giving it a special designation in the effort to bring life back to downtown.
By designating Post Street as one of our first entertainment zones, we're building on that momentum and allowing all of the bars and restaurants here to take advantage of planned events in the future.
The mayor says there are 8 downtown areas named as entertainment zones where people would be allowed to take the food and drinks they buy out into the public spaces.
You suddenly can actually leave the premises of the restaurant or bar and walk around within the zone. And then it's easier to integrate entertainment or art or actually have this more robust experience in a larger public space.
That may seem like a simple idea, but it took a new state law to make it possible.
It's going to increase business 100%.
Why do you think that will happen?
Just because that's something new that we haven't had before.
Actually, they did have it before, during the pandemic. Post Street was closed during the lockdown for outdoor dining. But at the 55 South Bar, they didn't just put tables out, they actually constructed a large shipwreck in the middle of the street for customers to sit inside. Co-owner Eric Nielsen says it was just the kind of zany thing that cooped up people were looking for.
It was insane that we did this, but we did, and it was hugely popular for over a year and a half. I think it was fantastic for the city. We had families walking down the street, at all times of the day, and then even into the evening. And before, we didn't see that. Before the pandemic, we never saw that.
Now, during special permitted events, businesses in the entertainment zones will be able to use the streets and sidewalks for outdoor events. Last week, they got a little taste of that. Actually, a big taste when the city staged a block party for tens of thousands of young people featuring star Instagram DJ Steve Aoki. Nielsen said it was just the boost he was looking for.
We did better sales-wise, but most importantly, just walking around downtown, it felt alive. It felt like a normal downtown city again, and we really missed that. So yeah, anything that can help that and make people feel comfortable and give them an opportunity and an excuse to go out and see something different and do something different and have a good time, that's kind of the key.
During the pandemic, outdoor entertainment was meant to keep distance between people. Now it's being used to bring them together again.
This bill was made possible by Senate Bill 969, passed in September, that allows cities to establish areas where drinking alcohol on public streets would be legalized during special events. Coming up in the next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, a local doctor who spent time in Gaza speaking about the latest developments in the Middle East, why activists fear the horrors of the war are fading into the background.
Last time I was allowed to enter was last summer. I've tried twice since then.
Plus, any day now, Congress is expected to overturn California's electric vehicle mandate, the potential impact on car buyers and our state. And you can find all of our stories for AAPI Heritage Month on our website, kpix.com, and check out our special Legacy and Leadership that is coming up Thursday, tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. and May 24th at 7 p.m.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ann Makovic, and here's another look at some of our local news headlines. BART has restored service after yesterday's fire near the San Leandro station. The Green Line is still shut down, but riders can still get anywhere they need, just a little longer. Need to take a transfer in some cases. To make up for this, BART is running longer trains on the Orange Line. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. An off-duty police officer accused in a DUI crash in San Francisco is set to face a judge today. Police say 28-year-old Ryan Kwong sped through a neighborhood in the Sunset Saturday night, then slammed into another car and a pole. 4 people were hurt. He had just graduated from the police academy 2 days before that crash, and we have confirmed he is no longer employed by the SFPD. Tonight, Golden State Valkyries hoping to score their first win of the season, facing off against the Washington Mystics. The team hoping to bounce back from a season-opening loss at Chase Center. Tip-off, 7 o'clock. Live coverage starts at 6:30 on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12. Now let's get another check on our first alert forecast. Here is meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, it's the warmest day of this week. We're topping off today in the 90s all the way over into Antioch. 60 still along the coast, so a nice temperature difference there when it comes to all of our microclimates. But let's head up to the North Bay real fast. I mean, we're talking about upper 80s in Santa Rosa this afternoon with sunshine everywhere throughout wine country, everywhere throughout the East Bay, and even for our friends along our coastal areas too. San Francisco today topping off at 68 degrees. We're right back up into the 80s into San Jose compared to yesterday's 70s, and it's going to be a nice one this afternoon. I will say though, we start to cool down starting tomorrow. But before we get to tomorrow, let's take a quick look at our wind speeds, because this morning it was relatively light, but it does get gustier into the afternoon hours. Around lunchtime, we're already up to around 20-mile-per-hour winds in areas like Bodega Bay and San Francisco. It'll get breezier, pushing in from offshore into the evening hours tonight, with dry skies widespread throughout the Bay Area today, tomorrow, all the way into our weekend forecast, all the way into next week. Actually, the Climate Prediction Center is showing drier than normal conditions for the Bay Area and throughout most of California as we head into the next 8 to 14 days. Reason being, we've been dealing with this area of high pressure parked just offshore. It's been delivering this sunshine, this warm weather, and despite the fact that we're going to actually start cooling down, we still hold on tight to those dry conditions into next week's forecast. We will start to see some clouds rolling in for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, especially along the bay, but no drops of rain in sight. It's going to be a very beautiful way to head into early next week. Now, the other thing, too, we head over into our inland areas. We're in the 80s today, 70s tomorrow, but then we're kind of flirting back and forth with 80s and 70s into this weekend. It'll be a similar trend into next week, too. The only difference, more clouds and a little bit more of that onshore breeze heading into Monday and Tuesday. Back to you.
Today, the San Jose Police Department is paying tribute to its fallen officers. The department held this memorial outside of the police department. Officers stood to honor the 14 officers killed in the line of duty over the years. The latest name added to that list, Long Pham. Police say the community service officer was killed by a drunk driver in August while directing traffic around a car crash.
To the families who sit in attendance, your loss is carried by all of us. Your loved ones are not forgotten. Their memory is part of who we are and will always be.
The police department also rang a bell as the name of each officer killed in the line of duty was read out loud. The driver accused of killing Pham was charged with murder. It was during spring last year that pro-Palestinian camp protests popped up at universities all around the country, including here in the Bay Area. But now 1 year later, and with a new administration in charge, it is a different story. Local activists say the conflict almost seems forgotten, even though the situation in Gaza is only getting worse. There's been a total blockade of supplies there for almost 3 months now, prompting warnings of famine. After a lot of international pressure, Israel allowed a few trucks of aid to finally enter Gaza this week, but the UN says it is nowhere nearly enough to meet the humanitarian needs there. Meantime, the airstrikes continue, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will not back down until all 58 remaining hostages are released and Hamas is eradicated. A local activist and an ER doctor are closely following what's happening from here in the Bay Area. Our Kara St. Cyr spoke with them.
Laura Kaswani feels the pro-Palestinian movement is almost invisible these days.
I often felt that when we took on that fight, that people were moved by it and that things shifted, right? Similar to other issues over the course of history. This last year and a half of genocide, Palestinians have felt completely erased from the story and conversation.
Laura is the executive director of the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, which has heavily protested the war in Gaza. She held out hope a new presidential administration could provide help with a permanent ceasefire. But the war rages on.
You know, pre-election, people were traumatized. They were concerned about the ongoing genocide, and post-election, people are continuing to be traumatized.
Humanitarian groups say an Israel blockade, now entering its third month, has driven the Gaza Strip into a famine. More than 70,000 children are expected to need urgent treatment for malnutrition. Blockades haven't stopped Bay Area activists from trying to help.
Last time I was allowed to enter was last summer. I've tried twice since then, one in September to open a field hospital in northern Gaza and was denied entry at that time, and then denied entry again in February.
Dr. Mohammed Soubey, a Palestinian-American ER doctor who flew to Gaza to deliver medical aid, hasn't given up hope. Despite blockades, he's determined to keep the momentum going, with lectures and educational seminars.
We have to convert that helplessness into some ray of hope that's going to keep us going, because the outcome is not going to come on our timeline. It's going to happen. Justice always prevails, but it doesn't happen the way we imagine it's going to come about.
Laura finds comfort in that courage.
We learned from other struggles before us that even if it felt impossible to end Jim Crow at some point, we ended Jim Crow. It felt impossible to end apartheid. Apartheid ended.
She'll hold out for change until a ceasefire is reached.
The Gaza Humanitarian Aid Foundation, a U.S.-backed organization, is expected to help with the aid distribution in Gaza. State Farm looking to raise its rates again just 1 week after getting an emergency rate hike. Company is asking state regulators to increase home insurance rates by 11% starting next year. That's on top of the 17% emergency rate hike that was approved last week and is going to start next month. State Farm had first requested a hike of 30% last June. Company is requesting 11% to get close to that original request. They say they're trying to recover from the devastating Los Angeles fires. State Farm going to have to make its case for the additional rate hike at a hearing in October. The California Department of Insurance tells us in a statement in part they want more data and transparency. They also said they want more policies to be written for areas affected by wildfires, and they add consumers should not be overpaying. This week, the U.S. Senate expected to vote to eliminate California's electric vehicle mandate. The rules require all new car sales to be emission-free by 2035. Reporter Steve Large looks at the bumpy ride ahead for EVs.
To buy electric or not?
Trying to get a deal.
It is the car buying question.
I'm gonna stick with my gas.
Joe Edwards answered before he even got to this lot. Ahead of Memorial Day weekend sales in search of a new truck, he'd rather pump gas than find a charging station.
You gotta map everything out when you go out of town. Make sure you're gonna stop at a station somewhere that you can plug it up. I don't wanna do that. I just wanna put some gas in it and go.
It's a big weekend. It's the start of the summer selling season.
Brian Moss is president of the California New Car Dealers Association. As the U.S. Senate seeks to end California's 100% zero-emission new vehicle sales mandate for 2035, he's warning of a closer deadline, a 35% mandate for next year's models. His association is calling on the California Air Resources Board to pause their own mandate.
None of the manufacturers that our customers would recognize are going to meet that mandate. And that's a real problem. If you have a rule that people can't meet, it's a rule that's not going to work.
California EV sales show a once growing market share suddenly stagnated at about 20%. That stagnation tied to Tesla's sudden market share slide in the past quarter, falling 12%, blamed on Elon Musk political fallout.
Because it's become culture war stuff, right?
California State Senator Henry Stern sits on the Air Resources Board and is a supporter of the zero emission goals.
And look, if it craters and no one's buying them and you're in 2026 and suddenly like the world's upside down, we can reassess then. But to sit here and pull the plug, like it's pulling the lifeline on American auto innovation.
22 city, 24 highway. Which that's not bad.
For Joe Edwards, the EV issue is too few charging stations.
You got to look for the stations to plug them up,
fueling his desire for a new gas-powered ride.
Governor Newsom issued a statement saying the Senate can give up the American car industry to China or uphold clean air policies for the American people. Well, by now, you've probably seen self-driving cars around the Bay Area, but how about an autonomous bulldozer? This is Moonlander. It weighs 32 tons. It was created by a company called Lumina. It says this is the world's first and only electric autonomous bulldozer. Lumina demonstrating the Moonlander today in San Francisco's Presidio. Coming up next, we are going to introduce you to a Brazilian dance group set to samba through the streets of San Francisco during Carnival. And for one member, those traditions run deep in her family.
And I believe this is the year of one of my earliest memories. Carnival was a space where she could be creative.
And we are celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Watch our special Legacy and Leadership tomorrow night at 7:30 and Saturday night at 7.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Well, it's one of the warmest days of this week, sitting in the 70s in the Bay and areas like Oakland, with upper 60s into San Francisco and sunny skies widespread throughout the Bay Area. We'll start to cool down into our Thursday and Friday forecast and hold on tight to 60s as we head into this weekend. By next week, we get a return to the clouds, but it's still dry skies, not a drop of rain in sight. Now, you make your way over into our inland spots, the exact same setup, just a little bit warmer. We're in the 80s today, 70s tomorrow, back into the 80s and 70s into next week.
Baseball is back in Oakland. The Oakland Ballers opened their second season last night, bringing new energy to the city. Fans we spoke with tell us the team feels rooted in the community. Raimondi Park, once a little league field, now packs in sellout crowds. And while some people still miss the A's, many see the Ballers as a fresh start for Oakland baseball.
Oakland lost 3 professional teams in about 5 years, and so for us it was just about making sure there's a new chapter for baseball in Oakland.
We got opening day seats because this has just been a really good time, really good community.
The Ballers beat the Ogden Raptors last night, and they're hoping to do it again tonight as they host the team once again at Raimondi Park. We are counting down the days until Carnival, San Francisco. All week long, we are highlighting the people marching and dancing in Sunday's parade. Today, we're introducing you to a group celebrating Brazilian traditions. Our Suji Nam shows us how one of its leaders was raised to appreciate the culture.
After 3 months of rehearsals, Bloco Ginga Brazil is about to cross the finish line. Taina Damasceno, the group's artistic director, has been busy prepping for the SF Carnival, focusing on their theme of home.
The Carnival of Bahia and of Rio de Janeiro. Bahia being our founder's home state that has a very strong Carnival culture, very much rooted in the streets.
She is working with Kellen Rosa, a samba director from Rio, to choreograph the group's dance routine. The group will feature more than 150 Ginga Brazil performers like these, parading down the Mission District this year.
Every Saturday, getting together, costuming together, rehearsing dances, understanding the cultural traditions behind what we're doing.
For Damasceno, the SF Carnival is more than just a festival. It's family tradition.
This is my mother, Conceição Damasceno, artist from Bahia, Brazil. And really when she founded Ginga Brasil, her intention was to showcase authentic Brazilian Carnival culture. This is me in Carnival with my mother. I think I'm about 2 years old. And I believe this was the year of one of my earliest memories.
They carried on that tradition ever since, but for the past few years, it's been bittersweet.
I took over the direction of Bloco Ginga Brasil 3 years ago with the passing of my mom. She struggled with lupus for around 15 years. It took a lot out of her. Carnival was a space where she could be creative.
Following in her mother's footsteps, Damasceno is now pouring her passion into her mother's nonprofit, Brazart, to preserve Brazilian culture. Brazart Board Secretary Ashley George says the impact is global.
And bringing that love, the joy, and the community from people from all different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, all different places from around the world.
And for Damasceno, the dance routine, the costume, the music, all go back to her mother.
Continuing the legacy of telling stories that are important to our people, telling stories that shine light on marginalized groups, that shine light on folks who don't have a voice or whose voice is being ignored.
Sharing their voices
Brasil, bloco mais barril,
for the world to hear.
If you want to learn to samba with Bras Arte, they offer weekly classes in Oakland and Berkeley. You can find more information on our website, kpix.com. So much fun. And we're going to be bringing you the Carnival Parade live. Our Gianna Franco and Sarah Donchi are hosting, and I'll be out there talking to people along the parade route. Coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. on Pix Plus 44, Cable 12, and streaming right here on CBS News Bay Area. Coming up, it's not every day you get to sit around and enjoy a cocktail or two while trying to break a Guinness World Record.
This was an opportunity. I don't think I'm in the world record book yet.
How this guy and a few new pals might have changed the game thanks to a trip to Treasure Island. back in March, we introduced you to a group of Gen Z tech entrepreneurs trying to keep the party going in San Francisco. They are the creators of Vently. That is a platform meant to turn around the city's alleged boring vibes. They started working on the venture while living on top of a bar in the Outer Mission, and they wanted to push the narrative that San Francisco is a very much alive place. Since starting Vently, they've hosted raves, a wellness block party, even dinner parties, sometimes in their own house. Now they are aiming higher with their events by trying to break the world record for the most cocktails stirred at the same time. Yeah, that's a thing, apparently. Our Lorene Ayub was there at Treasure Island for the shaken and stirred attempt.
Cocktail shaking and cocktail stirring. Whiskey took over Treasure Island as the Gold Bar Distillery gathered over 1,500 people on a windy day to surpass the Guinness World Record for the most cocktails shaken and or stirred at the same time. Gary Spenick joined the festivities with his family.
Like a lot of people, I think during COVID, I got into the cocktail making and made a few cocktails.
Gold Bar Distillery volunteers distributed shots to prepare guests for the whiskey showdown. Gary says it's an excuse to make memories with his son.
My son and I enjoy our whiskey tastings occasionally, so this seemed like a great opportunity to come out here.
Supported by Giants legend Hunter Pence, the record-breaking attempt was a chance to connect with fans of the Gold Bar brand as the distillery plans more community events at the Treasure Island location.
We felt the Bay Area energy. We're in a beautiful location right on the water. You have the whole skyline of San Francisco. Whenever people come out here to the Gold Bar Distillery, everyone's just in that great mood. There's a great vibe.
But the representatives with Guinness World Records were serious about their business, counting each attendee with precision. Ultimately, the event only broke the record for most cocktails stirred at the same time, but the joy was felt across the board.
It's just something you don't see every day, so this was an opportunity. I don't think I'm in the world record book yet, but after today, we can all say that we're part of the Guinness Book of World Records.
Another record broken in the heart of the Bay.
Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.